figure out a way to do this and time lapse it maybe. Alright, so I know it's a bad angle, but I'll explain a little bit more when I show you the tabs. The reassembly is a little bit better. Be careful when you're doing this also. Trim can be fragile depending on how old the vehicle is. If you're replacing the bumper completely, then don't try to break the tabs free, but just cut them off. Clips. This style sucks. Yeah, it sucks out. Cold. Sometimes they don't want to be nice. So that's where this $70 set MAC code striker comes in. Fly it out of the way. If all else fails, cut the tab off on the old bumper if you're replacing it. That works too. And in the background, you'll see good old Barry. He's a cool guy. He's teaching me more than I actually know. He's been doing it for 30 years. So any knowledge he gives me, I'll try and pass on to you guys. Completely de-trimmed. This is one of the easiest bumpers I've worked on. There's all the trim. So hopefully here soon you'll see me retrim it on the new one. New bumper, painted. About to retrim it. These little guys, when you get a new one aftermarket, these you want to cut out of the way. These do not belong there. They're only there for shipping, for rigidity. If you try putting the trim in with this, a lot of bumpers that have big openings like Chargers and stuff like that have those. It's for stability, so it doesn't warp this lower edge or the upper edge, so the trim will actually fit properly. So when you go to retrim it, just take a knife, X-Acto knife, trim it flush, or I carve it in a little bit on the back side. Just back side, here, upside down we go. Back side it goes up a little bit, so just cut on that line. Try to do it from the outside so you know you're not cutting into paint. So it's just freshly painted and you got this, cut it from the outside. So I'll set it up and I'll retrim this for you. Also make sure you have all the trim. Alright, so that's my nice sharp knife. I sharpen it once or twice a week and we'll just wait for something. Wait for it. There it is. Don't be an idiot. Don't put your hands down range. Don't cut yourself. See? Nice little nick there. Later on I get a band-aid and cover it up because it's a white bumper, don't need to bleed all over it. And this sucker would not stop bleeding. It's still bleeding in 2 hours after I did it. So. Alright. Here I'll listen to something too. Keep your ears out for the snaps. They're quite audible even in speed up double time. Make sure when you're doing this, you line up all the holes before you start snapping them in, so you don't have to take it apart again just to line it up. Snap in the middle couple, make sure it's lined up, and then line them all up before you start snapping in place. Sometimes it can be a pain in the ass, especially these aftermarket bumpers, because it just does not want to line up for you. A little bit of elbow grease and some muscle and determination, you should be able to get it together, no problem. I struggled a little bit on this one just because this is a crappy aftermarket one. Depending on which ones you get, some are easier, some are harder. So just mind that. Also mind that I'm doing this on a table. You can't tell, but it's done wrong. It's my shop how they did it. But I'm doing this on a bubble wrapped table. You're normally supposed to do it on like a cloth or something like that, something soft that you're not going to be scratching up the bumper. Bubble wrap still can do micro scratches. It's a white bumper. Everyone knows if it ain't right, paint it white, so you won't really see the minor scratches that are trying to be put into it, but be real careful when you're putting it together too, so you don't scratch up the paint. There's nothing worse than snapping together all your trim and realizing you got a nice little gouge that no one else may see, but you'll know it's there. It'll drive you nuts. So if it's freshly painted, take extra care. Sometimes wash your hands before you start, wash the parts so you don't get any dirt on there. Wear gloves. So it's when it's painted, it's a pain in the ass. So the cleaner and more time you take, the better it'll come out. So also, I learned something when I was putting the bumper on the vehicle, which after this, there's not enough time to explain, but there's a lower air dam that goes to this one specifically. I found out it'd probably be easier to put the air dam on before putting the bumper on the vehicle. I thought, like most air dams, it goes on after the bumper's on, but I was wrong. It's a chintzy, cheap piece of crap. So, yeah, just if you're doing one of these, it's I think a 13 or 14 Caravan, Grand Caravan. Remember the air dam goes on the bumper before the bumper goes on the vehicle. It's easier that way. So. And that's completely assembled, put back together. Alright, this thing was cheap even for Chrysler standards, but hopefully you learned something, hopefully it helped. If not, then, you know too much already. But, yeah, stay tuned for more.